All right, let's talk about estimating and quantity takeoffs to begin with, and then estimating. Just in general, wherever you go to work, they will have their method of doing quantity takeoffs and estimates. Architectural firms do everything by unit pricing, so they would say, okay, a square foot of slab is X number of dollars per square foot based on the thickness. Wall footings, X number of dollars based on the size of the footing and the lineal foot of footing. So they use unit prices to kind of throw together a budget number, really. If you're working for a contractor who is actually doing the work and installing whatever the product may be, now you have to be more accurate in your takeoff and your estimate, because that's what you're going to use to order the materials with. So, and every area of work, every scope of work has a different method of doing takeoff. Now, concrete, we're going to start with concrete. We'll do a few things throughout the project here. But concrete is purchased by the cubic yard, and the labor to install it is based on what it is that you're installing. So we're going to start with easy, and we're going to do the pad footings here. Now I've given you in Blackboard an Excel spreadsheet that you can print out to write some things in, or you can make some notes and then put them back in the spreadsheet. I've edited the spreadsheet since I printed them to make the video, so I've changed so that we're not going to calculate rebar. And on concrete, you want to do your subtotals. When you do your calculation across, you want to do that in cubic feet. And then when you get to the bottom of your sheet or that category, then you'll convert it to cubic yards. Because if we did 1 2 foot by 2 foot footing in cubic yards, it's going to be a super small decimal. So you end up with an error in your rounding when you go to cubic yards too soon. So let me back up just a little bit. In estimating, contractors use an estimating software, and there's a couple of major players in the industry, and they're pretty much programmed to where you set up, and based on the kind of work you're doing also. But you measure whatever it is that you're doing the takeoff. Say we wanted to do the concrete walls, and some packages still use a digitizer, which is kind of like a pen, and you poke it here and poke it here and poke it here, here, and it measures the length of the wall for you. And then it goes into the estimating software, and in there are lots of variables: what kind of wall, how thick the wall, how tall the wall, how much rebar is in the wall, and it comes up with your totals for you. With more and more projects going BIM or 3D, now you can take the BIM model and bring it in and just derive your quantity straight from the model. Okay, so computerization speeds up the process. If you're the contractor installing it, you still have to look at the plans, whether they're paper or whether they're on the computer, and you have to understand it, and basically you want to build this project in your mind as you're getting your quantities and your pricing together, because you want to look for things that will be problems, things that would cost more money, take extra time, things like that. All right, so back to our pad footings. Well, I'm going to start here with the concrete spread footing. I've already done a couple of them here. And we get our sizes here from the plan view: 24 by 24, 30, 30, 30 by 36. The schedule at the bottom right here has your thicknesses and the type of rebar and things like that. Okay, and in case you didn't know, I'm working on the Marseille plan. That's what we're going to be kind of working through. So you want to be descriptive in what you're filling out. So these are in the basement area, okay? I put the length. The length is always going to be length of the house across the page this way. Width is always going to be north and south on the sheet. And in depth, it's going to be down into the ground. And in this case, we want to use the 4 decimal places that the book gives us in the example. In real life, I think we use 2 decimal places. Back, I used to be an estimator, first out of college, God, years and years ago. We pretty much used, 2, maybe 3 decimal places, depending on which one it was, okay? I think it was 3 decimal places, but the book has 4, so we're going to use 4, all right? So, the 36 by 36, well, that's a 3 foot by 3 foot, okay? And it's 10 inches deep. And so I do my calculation. 3 plus 3, that gets me one side around, and then times 2. Whoa, that didn't work out right. So it's 3, 6, it's 12 feet around. Since it's square, you can just say, one side times 4 sides. Okay, so it's 12 feet around, and it's 10 inches deep. Times 0.8333. That gives me, I'm going to round that up. That gives me 10 square feet of formwork. And you say, formwork? Why do I need formwork? Well, our detail right here shows gravel backfill going against the footing. So before the gravel is even brought in, they would pour the footing. So you're going to need formwork around that to hold the concrete while it sits up. Okay, so that gives me the square foot of contact area for the formwork. Now the concrete volume, here I want to take length times the width. It gives me 9 square feet times my depth. 7.5 when I round those up. 7.4997. So we'll say 7.50. Okay. If we were taking off rebar, we would go to our, and we wouldn't do a takeoff by pounds. Okay, we'd do it by size and each. And so these had 3 number 4s both directions per footing, and they're going to be 6 inches shorter than the length of the footing. So you have a whole nother sheet for your rebar if you want a quantity of rebar. Okay, so once I get, these are all of my pad footings, and so now I would total these things up. Okay, so 10, 16, 17, that gives me 22 square feet of formwork, and I'll have to add these, plus 4.17 plus 7.5, 14.34 cubic feet. Divide that by 27, gives me 0.53 cubic yards. Okay, and number of pads, I have a total of 3. Because with a pad footing like this, your labor is going to be per footing. Okay, as far as placing the concrete. Okay, now in with okay, that one doesn't have anchor bolts with it. So that's spread footings.